All right, brothers and sisters, welcome to part 2 of the Mesmer leveling guide. This section of the guide is set up to get you from 40 to 60. We're going to be focusing on power damage using sword, pistol, and greatsword, and this is a phantasm build for the record. If you're below level 40, make sure to check out the 11 to 40 guide. I'll leave a link in the description below. Let's get to it. At level 40, you're going to want to respec to the build on the screen, 20 in Domination and 10 in Dueling. What this gives us is Empowered Illusions, which is a nice solid 15% bonus on some of our most damaging abilities, and then with the Master Traits opened up, we can actually grab Greatsword Training. That gives us even more cooldown reduction. In Dueling, we of course have Blade Training, which is more raw damage and a nice boost to survivability thanks to Blurred Frenzy and Critical Infusion. Between those two trait lines, you should be able to keep Phantasms up pretty much constantly, and you should really have no shortage of buttons to press. We're really focusing on upping the damage with this build. The playstyle here is active, but fairly mindless. You just want to have as many of your damaging abilities on cooldown at a given time as humanly possible. From 40 to 50, we're going to go deeper into dueling to pick up Sharper Images, which allows us to do a bit more damage, and of course, Phantasmal Fury. This is the point at which your Phantasmal Berserker is going to start carrying you. He gets scary with Fury, especially when we factor in the additional bleeds from Sharper Images. From 50 to 60, there aren't many good choices, but there is a best choice. Since you're not going to spend a whole bunch of time with the 10-point trait from whatever line we choose, because once you hit 60, you'll be getting another free respec and moving on to the next portion of the guide, the 5-point trait is really going to matter a lot more than the 10-pointer in this case. Because of this, I'd suggest putting points into Chaos. Metaphysical Rejuvenation will save your ass more often than you'd expect, and while the toughness and boon duration don't do a lot for us, they will give us a slightly better chance of staying alive when we miss a dodge or get knocked down and beaten on by a mob. If you happen to be stuck in a dungeon or feel like finishing off a zone when you hit 60, Chaos is a good trait line to be in, because you can pick up Illusionary Defense for some extra survivability. You're going to have 3 Phantasms out most of the time, so 9% reduced damage, who needs toughness, right? Let's move on to the gear section. So we're going to be sticking with strong gear here. The power and precision are really all we're going to need in terms of raw stats. As far as runes go, I would recommend 4 major runes of divinity and probably 2 singletons that offer either power if you feel good about your dodging, or toughness if you don't feel so good about it. For sigils, we're going to go with Fire on the Greatsword and on the main hand sword for some added AoE damage, and we're going to go with Sigil of Accuracy on the offhand pistol. At this point, I'd recommend keeping a second weapon equipped with a major Sigil of Bloodlust, using that until you get 25 stacks, and then swapping over to a weapon with a more useful sigil in it. That way you're not wielding a weapon that has a useless sigil in it half the time. For food, it's pretty cut and dry. Filet of sesame roasted meat gives you 50 power and 40 precision starting at level 40, and then at 50 you've got plate of coriander crusted meat that bumps those numbers up to 60 power and 50 precision. Pretty much perfect for this build, and your character should be thankful because damn, those sound delicious right about now. So that's it. This build should take you from 40 to 60 with ease by making everything that crosses your path die horribly. And if you enjoy that idea, or this video in general, feel free to let me know by clicking the like button. There will be a link to the 60 to 80 portion of the guide in the description as soon as it's up. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss future guides, patch previews, and discussions, all that good stuff. Much love to all of you wonderful people. Stay black.